Hello everyone, it's Katrina from the Alluring Bead Boutique, and I'm back today to do another video tutorial for you guys that I talked about a few weeks ago. I'm going to be showing you how to do this cute little Russian leaf styled project, but instead of doing it in the normal Russian leaf peyote method where you stitch one strip down, stitch it back up this way using some increasing and decreasing and whatnot, and then joining it here, I'm going to show you guys a way that I discovered that you can work this style of a project in a round. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to follow along with the same bead choices I did on this one, except I'm going to change my colors. I'm going to get out two different colors of size 8/0 seed beads and then one color of 11/0s. I'll be using some 6-pound Fireline in the black satin. If you guys haven't tried the black satin over the smoke, I strongly suggest you give it a try. This does not stain your fingers anywhere near as badly as the smoke Fireline does. And then I'll just be using a size 11 beading needle. The directions I'm going to show you today on the pickup will create a leaf where my dark brown beads here will be replacing these gold metallic beads, and my Picasso turquoise beads will be replacing the green beads here on the outside edge. So the first thing you want to do is pick up two of your color A, which I'm going to use these Mayukis. I can't remember the exact name of them, but there's the color code if you're interested. 8-4458. And also these are just some turquoise Picassos with a kind of a bluish tint. And that is a 8-4514. And these are both Mayukis. And for my 11/0s, I'm going to use some check glass 11/0 tortoise round seed beads. So I am going to pick up two color A's, 8 color B's, an A11, A11. And I want to carry that down and be really careful not to drop this off of the tail end of my beads down here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to skip over these 3 beads, and I'm going to sew back through this color A bead here. And I'm going to pull those beads around, and I can adjust with my tail here if I need to. Don't really need a lot of tail thread, just enough to hold on to. So this is what I have. I have this little picot sitting at the top, just like that. And what I'm going to do now is pick up 8 more of these color beads. And I'm going to sew through the 2 color A beads, down here at the bottom to get this started going into a loop. So I'm going to sew through just those 2 brown ones, like that. And now I can show you a little more clearly what we have. We have our tail thread and our working thread exiting out of these 2 brown beads at the bottom. We have 8 turquoise beads running up each side, and we have a center bead at the top with a little picot sitting at the top of that, out of our 11s and 1 more dark brown bead. Now, at this point, you can stitch all the way back through these beads if you have trouble maintaining tension. Another thing you can do is to just simply add a stop bead down on this end. So I think on my original samples that I had actually just went back through all the beads once to give myself a little bit more tension. So now we're going to peyote up the side. So we're going to pick up a B, skip a B, and sew through the next. And we're going to do that all the way up the side of the beadwork. So pick up 1, skip 1, and sew through the next. Now I should be exiting the last color B bead, and we should have added a total of 4 beads so far, just like that. Now we're going to pick up a color B and we're going to sew up through the 11-0 at the top. We're going to pick up an 11-0 and sew through the A at the top. We're going to pick up another 11-0 and sew down through the 11-0 on the opposite side. Here we're going to pick up a color B. We're going to skip this color A and sew through the next color B right here. From here, we're just going to peyote using our color B beads down this side of the leaf. Pick up one, skip one, sew through the next. We're just creating a mirror image along this side of the beadwork to match what we did on the other side. So now we're at the bottom. We have one last bead to add. We're going to pick up a color B, skip a color B. We're going to sew through both of these color A at the bottom. Try not to catch your tail thread in there. And then we're going to go ahead and step up into the first color B that we added in this round. So now we're going to do another round. We're going to take 5 peyote stitches using our color A beads. We're going to put one here, 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 and one last one between this 8-0 and that 11-0. And you're going to notice right away that your work is going to start curving up like it does on this sample. That's what's going to give us that dimension. So as I pull that, I want to kind of start working these beads upward like this. And just keep working till you get your 5 beads added on. Make sure that here that you're just going through your 8-0s until you get to this last bead that you're going to add by stitching up through that top 11-0 there. Now we are going to add an 11, a color A, and an 11 to our needle. And this time we're going to skip right over and sew straight down the 11 here on the other side. And from there we're going to go ahead and pick up one of our 8-0s, and we're going to sew down through that first one sticking out here on this side. We're just going to work back down this side, peyote stitching using our 8-0 color B beads. And we're still going to want to work our beads around so that they start to roll upwards and form a little cup shape. Now this is very similar to the same exact process used to create the petals in the 6-flower petal flower that's coming up on the blog. It should be published by the time you guys get to this leaf here. All right, so I'm getting ready to add my last bead, and I'm going to sew through the sticking out 8-0 B bead there. And I'm going to pull that through. For this round, to finish up this round, we are going to take we're just going to take and sew straight through those 2 A beads at the bottom. after we add that last bead. And this is what we have so far. So according to the instructions, that when we pass through those 2A, that is considered the step up. So what we'll do is pick up a color bead, skip this bead, and sew through this one. Which kind of sets that bead in a little wobbly position right here. So let's see if there's a way we can fix that. And still follow true to the directions that were provided. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up that same bead I have on my needle, and instead of skipping one and sewing through the next, I'm going to sew, if you can see what I'm doing, I'm going to sew down through this very first bead that I was skipping over. I'm going to get my tail thread out of the way. And what I'm going to do is then sew back through that bead, and in essence what I'm doing is kind of like just square stitching it to the bead right here, the bead beside of it, right there. Then I'm going to come through that next sticking out bead. And see if that doesn't help that bead to sit more uniformly where it needs to sit. And you can see that I have a huge exposed thread there. Not really crazy about the approach of just not doing a traditional step up right here. Under normal circumstances, when we came through these 2 brown beads, we would have went through this bead and stepped up into our first sticking out bead. But we'll give it a go and try to follow along the way that she has said to do it. And then we'll just continue to peyote through the rest of our beads here on the side. And I'm not crazy about that at all, but if you keep wiggling it around, you can kind of keep it in line where it's supposed to be and how it's supposed to look. Getting ready to add a bee right here on my last sticking out bee. And you can see that that looks pretty good by taking the time to just square stitch that bead in place first. It helps it to keep its position. All right, so here we are, and we have sewn our last bee right here through this bee. Now we need to pick up one more, and we're going to come up through the 11-0. And in this round, we're going to pick up an 11-0, sew through the color A bead here at the top. Then we'll pick up an 11 and sew down through the 11 on the other side. And from there, we'll just continue on with peyote. Pick up a B, sew through the next B, all the way down till we get to the end. So we want this work to kind of curve because we're trying to, create the exact same look as a Russian leaf. So on this side, you can see that I am coming out of this bead here. And I've got to add one more bead by skipping over this and sewing through the 2 brown beads here at the bottom. The tail thread is really starting to get on my nerves, but it'll be okay. And what we want this bead to do is we want it to sit just like the bead on the other side. And you can see that it really doesn't want to hold its position. It wants to roll down below. No matter what I do, it just wants to roll. So now I've got it kind of like in sync with the beads on the other side. So this time we're definitely going to step up into that first bead we added, the one I kind of square stitched to the other one. Now we can begin the next round. So let's go ahead and peyote one more round using our color B. And sewing through our color bees that are sticking out. And we're to the place now where we have to pick up one and sew up through the 11-0. And we're going to repeat the steps we did on a previous round of picking up an 11, an A, and an 11. And we're going to sew down the 11 on the opposite side. So that top 11. Now we'll just continue peyote on this side, using color B and sewing through the color B's that are sticking out. I just thought this was interesting, and I did want to share it with you because I've never realized that you could stitch this Russian leaf style shape just by using a round. And I imagine that these weird little step-ups that we've had to take here and there kind of take the place of all the increasing and decreasing that you would normally do. All right, so I'm adding this last bead here on this side. So at this point, to bridge the gap, we're going to pick up two color A. We're going to sew through this A on the other side, and we're going to step up at the same time. So that this is what the beadwork looks like at this point. Now just once you've stepped up, you can just work 6 stitches using your color B and peyote through the existing sticking out color B. And this time when we get to the top, we're going to sew through the A bead by putting up an 11-0 on either side. But first we have to pick up that color B and sew up through the 11-0. Pick up your A, sew through, pick up the 11-0 and sew through the A. Pick up an 11-0, sew down the 11-0. And then peyote your 6 stitches along this side. Of course, these color choices don't make this look very much like a leaf, but I thought using some highly contrasted colors would help you guys to see better what I'm doing on this style of a leaf. And remember to roll that beadwork up so that both sides are shaped the same. So now we're going to try to get across this gap here of our color A's. We're going to pick up a B and sew through both of those color A's. And then to take the last stitch of the round, we're going to pick up a color B. I'm sorry, I picked up the wrong one. We're going to skip one, sew through the next one, and sew through the step-up bead at the same time if you can. So I'm sewing through these two beads right here. And I'm going to pull that bead into position. So here's our cute little Russian leaf that we have so far, and it's pretty adorable, and I really just love the way that you can create the Russian leaf so much faster by working it around. It's not exactly the same, but it's fairly close. So at this point, you could do a couple of more rounds. You could do what I did here, which was basically I worked until I had a total of 5 of my 8 beads here, and then I did one round using 11 seed beads just to add a little accent there. And I also sewed into the center and did some accent beads on the inside edge, just like that. But I just really quickly wanted to show you guys how to get started with stitching a Russian leaf in this manner. One of the main difference, of course, is down here. This is the biggest part where you're going to find a difference between the two Russian leaf techniques. All right, guys, that's it for today. I just am so glad that you guys are following along and enjoying the beaded floral tutorials that I've been working on. Don't forget to head over to the website to check out some of the written lessons that are available over there. And if you like this video, hit that thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. When you visit the blog, be sure to add your name to follow my blog or join my newsletter. That way you will be notified every time a new tutorial posts on the blog. All right, guys. Thanks for watching and have a great day.